Hey, Paul, Ryan Sheffer, PGA here with a video review from last Thursday's golf lesson. The focus during that lesson was on putting and full swing. What I'm going to start with here is a video that was summarizing what we worked on in your putting.
So Paul, some stuff that we talked about today. First thing in the setup, what we noticed is that you were gripping it higher on the club. That was getting you a little bit further from the ball, and you also had a little bit more weight on your heels. Now what that did, if I bring a ball here in the equation and kind of demonstrate something, you'd get here, and this is probably super exaggerated, but if I drop that ball, it was pretty far back from the original ball that you're trying to hit. So what we did is we moved your grip further down the club. It's got you down in there. And what that does, it actually gets your eyes and your chest a little bit more over the ball. So if I were to drop this ball again, and now I'm further down on the grip, that's almost falling down on the ball. That's more what we want to see happening. So from here, you have some wiggle room. The ball could land anywhere from here to about here, and you're okay. All right, now the next thing that we were doing, we talked about a few things here. One with the right hand, and then the other one with where the eyes were pointing. So let's talk about the right hand first. You asked me a question. You said, should I feel like the left hand is kind of more guiding towards the hole? I would disagree, because what tends to happen when we do that is the face will kind of open, and we tend to hit this push, which is what you said you were struggling with. What Stan Utley does, and what he talks about, is he tries to feel like the right hand is kind of more in charge, and the left hand kind of just stays at the sides. So when I come through, the right hand, as you can see there, that putter is now pointing kind of more in a closed fashion, not so much square to the line, if you will. It's actually square to the path. So right hand a little bit more in charge. Now the next thing we talked about was the eyes, right? So the eyes, the one thing I noticed was there was a tendency sometimes to get your eyes, instead of pointing kind of near the ball, kind of crisscrossing. So the eyes were kind of more like that, and that was creating more of this path that would kind of go out and then back to the ball. So trying to be a little bit more cognizant of that. You can practice with some mirrors or a CD, try to see if the eyes look like they're matching. And the last thing we did here was this little ladder drill where you're actually going down the yardstick. And what you're trying to do is see if you can get the ball stay down the yardstick and try to go through there. Now that one left a little here, so if I was doing this, I would know that I maybe was slightly shut with the face when I came in. If the opposite thing happened and it was here, then my face is slightly open. I'm just spending some time with this. Part of that is all balance and setup, and the better you get at that, the more improved the putting is going to be.
All right, Paul, so now that we've taken a look at your putting, let's talk about the full swing. So let's first take a look at the golfer on the left. This is the before swing. So I got some lines here. We'll take a look at what's going on. So just kind of right off the bat, what do I see happening? So let's just talk about what is the club face doing. So I'm going to draw a line here. If we talk about the club's pointing, it's kind of what I'd call open right now. If we look at a tour pro, typically that club face wouldn't be having that arrow point there. You'd actually be pointing that somewhere more around that area. You can also talk about where the toe's pointing. So the top part of the club, kind of more up to the sky, almost maybe even slightly back of your spine angle. So that's kind of the line it's on there. If I were to draw a line for the spine angle about right there, you can see that that arrow doesn't match your spine. Ideally, we want that to be parallel with the spine. It should be matching to it. So that tells me that we're fanning the face open a bit, and that's part of why we might be slicing it. So in future lessons, we're going to probably talk a little bit about trying to control that face a little bit more. The next thing to focus on is what we try to focus on today or during your previous lesson. When we get to the top here, let's watch what ends up happening to the hands. So as we come down, notice how the hand path comes above the upper swing plane, or that's the forearm plane line. And then that creates kind of this steep angle of attack where we're swinging basically left, and you end up with this kind of chicken wing look where you can see that left elbow kind of pops out real quick in the view of the camera. So what I did to try to correct this during the lesson is I placed basically I think a golf club or an alignment stick kind of at an angle like that going through the shoulder. My objective for you was to try to feel like your left arm stayed underneath it. So it got you a little bit flatter across the chest. Let's take a look at how that changed the swing here on the right. So as we swing back, again, very similar as far as where we're going. You can see the face open probably a little bit compared to the spine. Get up to the top of the swing though. Let's see if there's anything that looks a little different between the two. So that's what we want to look at really is the first transition move. This is really the main checkpoint to watch. So again, just to compare the two, there's the first transition down. There's the first transition down. And you can still see that the shaft's coming in kind of steep on both of them. But I like the look of what we're seeing a little bit more here on the right as far as how you're using your body. Notice how we don't see the elbow creep out really quick right away. You noticing that? Whereas over here, see how the elbow comes out really fast? So there were some small things that you did differently that were really solid on the swing on the right. It's a much better golf swing as far as how you're moving. There's still some things that we definitely would want to do. Again, if I rewind this, I don't want to see those hands go over that yellow line on the top right away. I want to see them stay underneath that yellow line. So those are things that we're going to continue to try to strive to improve and get better at. But you can still play good golf with this. I mean, golf's not a game of perfect, as you well know. So just making some small adjustments like this stuff can make some big improvements in your game. I know you stated to me that your last round of golf, you weren't struggling on the par threes as much just from some of the setup adjustments. We've been focusing on your shoulder alignment, trying to aim it more off to first base if you're thinking of baseball. So talking about aiming it over here on the right. And that's made a big change in your swing and hopefully helping your scoring, as you've stated to me, and hopefully continuing to do that. But again, as we start to make more and more of these changes, hopefully we'll have more and more confidence in the swing, and that just means more fun for you as a golfer. So I hope you found this helpful, and I look forward to seeing you during your next lesson.